Well, welcome back to Sam's Antique Motors here at the Shine Up Shop. I'm Sam Wilson, and today I'm working on restoring some vent windows. So all these old 69 to 72 trucks, I had this little corner vent window, and these in particular, the rubber's really hard, it's cracked in some places. I think the glass is going to be all fine, and these are stainless on the sides, so we'll polish those out and make those fine. But this is about the fourth set of these that I've done. A couple on Mike's truck, one for Schubel's Dairy Queen special, and one for my set for my Jimmy. So I kind of know more or less what I'm trying to do here, and it's a little bit tricky. You can buy these already redone from a couple of the reproduction houses, but they're about 300 bucks a piece to get it done. I'm not sure it's necessarily cheaper to do it yourself if your labor's worth anything, but it does take some special tools, and it actually takes 4 hands, and that's usually 20 fingers, and I'm a little bit of a discount on that. So when I get to putting the rivets back in, I'll probably have to get some get my trusty associate, Miss Diana, to help with this. But to do this, the first thing I do is I take a lot of pictures. I took several pictures, and you probably can't necessarily see in the video, but these are, obviously set for opposite sides, and they have this little bracket down here at the bottom that has to go a certain way, and the handles have to go a certain way. So when I do them one at a time so that I have one to go by. I've sourced up the parts that it takes, so it's got a new gasket that goes here on the outer side. It's got a new inner gasket that goes here. It's got new felts that go in this channel, and I've gone ahead and bought a new handle, nice quality handle, and you can take this off and have it re-chromed, or you can buy another one. Chroming is very expensive, and these are, I've used them before, are pretty good quality. So I just bought a new handle rather than have it chromed. But first step is to go in and take this thing apart, and part of that involves cutting a bunch of rivets out. So unfortunately, all these brackets and the felts are riveted in. So the only way to get those out is to take a die grinder and cut off wheel and grind those rivets out and take this thing apart. So I'm going to take it apart, and then I'll get all these gaskets out. I'll bead blast all the parts that aren't stainless. I'll probably go ahead and just parkerize this spring and nut and washers and bolts so that they'll be all pretty. Nobody sees them, they're inside the door, but I kind of like it to look right inside and out. So I'm going to go ahead and get started cutting these rivets out, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, now I got all these pieces apart. This is a little stainless chrome piece. It's actually stainless piece. It's polished. I'll go clean this up and polish it on my stainless buffer. This piece I'll throw in the sandblast machine. I'll tape off the edge where the stainless part is, clean all the inside of this out, and get that ready to go back together. And then this is the weather strip frame. I'll sandblast this also. It's a little dicey to get the rubber back in this. So that's got to really be clean. You got to use a little dishwasher soap to get it put in there properly. I got all the little kibbles and bits that go with the spring, and the part that took the most time was to get this piece of window glass out of here without breaking it. It's actually got a couple of scratches on it, so it's a little bit questionable whether or not we want to put it back in, but I think the chrome piece will be fine. Again, I'll sandblast, tape off the chrome, bead blast the shaft coming out of it, and we'll at least get the window back in with the, we'll get it cleaned up and get that back in. So I'm gonna go do all this, get all this sandblasted, and then once we get ready to put it back together, I'll come back to you. Okay, I got all these little parts blasted and cleaned up nicely. And so the next step is to get this gasket put back in this little frame. And this is a very difficult, it's probably the most challenging part to get this pushed in there. So the first thing to do is get this hooked over this end deal. It's gonna eventually, this preformed extruded rubber is gonna snap into this slot. And it's a little dicey to make that happen. But so put that in there, then I can take this in and just slide it down through there. And that goes all the way down to the end. And then comes the hard part. So getting it all the way down into the end takes just a lot of pushing and prodding, and then I put a little dishwashing soap on there, and that usually sort of helps get there as well. I'm not sure why this is not sliding in there now. Okay, that was easy enough. After about 4 of these, it seems to get a little simpler every time. The biggest challenge is getting this thing pushed up into this corner. But if you just put just a drop of that dishwashing soap on it, usually kind of makes that rubber ease in there a little bit. It's kind of cold. I got the heater on today, so it's also helpful if it's about 105 degrees outside and the rubber's a little softer. Some people say they boil the gaskets. I've never done that. I've always been able to just work them in there. So now the next piece is, I've gone in the buffer and I've polished all this stainless out. Is this the second little trim piece here goes on to this piece, and that gets to be the real trick. So you got to take, you got to fit this in here before you rivet it. Learn that the hard way. And it's got a metal backing in it, so you kind of got to take that metal backing and straighten that out nicely so that the rivets hold it up onto the metal tight. I actually put just a little hump where each one of the rivets are, so the rivets will pull down and make it tight. So now we've got that all positioned. Now we're going to take this piece and put it on the correct way, and we're going to rivet it. Oops, I got a rivet left in there. I got to get that rivet out. But we're going to take this piece and rivet it to this channel right where it goes right here. So I'm going to have to move over to the vise, and I got to get this other little rivet out. So we'll do that and then come back and take a look at it. Okay, we're now got this one put back together through the gracious help of my assistant Diana. We've got the new felts put in here, re-riveted the lower attachment on, polished out all this stainless on these pieces, put in new rubber, parkerized the springs and washers in here, put in a new door handle with a little pin, and bead blasted all this structure around here. So this vent window is now ready to go. Well, I thought I'd do a little bit of an epilogue on this vent window exercise, just to make sure there's no disillusions. That I started this pretty much about 9 o'clock this morning. I've now got both of these all polished up, new rubber, new gaskets, everything's good on them. But it's now 5:30, so it took 8 hours with a short lunch break to rebuild these 2 vent windows, and to do that, it took a cut-off wheel, 2 ball peen hammers, small and large, a big screwdriver, a little screwdriver, a long skinny screwdriver, and a tiny screwdriver, plus a body hammer, a flashlight, a clamp, pair of needle nose, 2 ice pick pricks, 3 open-end winches, a air nozzle, a C-clamp, bar clamp, a DA grinder, a drill, a small bit, about 1/8 of an inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different punches to set these rivets, including one very, very tiny little specialty punch that it looks like I've broken off, but I bought this a long time ago at a swap meet. I'll be looking for another one of those. A really badass pair of Cutco scissors, and a carpet knife, a pair of hemostats, and an assortment of buffing pads for the DA sander, as well as a really nice full horsepower Eastwood buffing wheel. So 8 hours later and a whole drawer full of tools, we've got this task ready to go, and we'll be ready to put it back in the doors when the doors are finished up. See you next time.
Download the Resto-Rat app today to begin managing, tracking, and documenting your restoration project.